What's going on, everybody? Good late afternoon. We've got some Monday day after game injury updates. Sometimes I don't make a video about the Monday injury updates because quite often you don't really learn that much from them, but in this case we have. So let's talk about it for a little bit here. There were a few different updates, but the big one, the one that actually contained definitive information, concerned Jaylen Sundell, and unfortunately, the news is not particularly good. So, per Mike McDonald earlier today, just maybe an hour ago or something, Jaylen Sundell will likely miss multiple weeks with the knee injury he suffered yesterday. Not expected to miss the rest of the season, but he may have to go on injured reserve. So that sounds like you're looking at least a few games with no Jaylen Sundell at center. More on that after the break. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. All right, so yeah, there's definitely going to be no Sundell this week. We can say that with pretty much 100% certainty. So we will be going to backup center Oluwatimi for the Rams game and probably a couple games after that. Again, reason to believe that it will not end his season, but this is really the first time all year the Seahawks have had a significant roadblock to offensive line continuity. They have managed to play a pretty impressive streak of games this year with the same starting five over and over and over again. You got teams like the Chargers that have had 19 different starting combinations on their offensive line. We've had one. Well, after this upcoming Sunday, we will have two because we finally have an injury up front. And I think that there are a few different ways to look at this. So let's talk about it for a minute. Jaylen Sundell wasn't really playing particularly good. I'd say he was okay. Probably about a replacement level, maybe slightly above replacement level as far as centers go. Probably one of the worst centers in the league, but not necessarily somebody you can just reach off the street to replace. So I don't think there's going to be a huge downgrade. Remember, Oluwatimi has played a significant amount of football in previous seasons. Last year when he took over for Connor Williams, he did okay. The issue with Oluwatimi is he's not a great fit for the zone blocking scheme of Kubiak. He doesn't have the agility, the athleticism, and the mobility to get to the outside on runs to the outside. So it's really just a matter of fitting in with the way the offense wants to play. That's what Sundell offered that Oluwatimi doesn't. Sundell, while not being a very good player, is very mobile, very agile. He can play in space. He can get out and hit those blocks. And that's why he was out there, really. If not for that, I think Oluwatimi probably would have been the starter to start the season and would still be the starter. So Jaylen Sundell, I wonder if the playbook changes at all when we go to Oluwatimi here. I wonder if maybe Kubiak mixes things up a little bit to be more appropriate for Oluwatimi's specific skill set. I think that's a possibility here. But I think a lot of you guys saw what I saw on Sunday, yesterday. Oluwatimi, when he went in that game, the run game got better. And it kind of makes sense why. When you think about it, you might have even predicted it before it happened. Because while Sundell does bring some good things to the table in terms of his athletic prowess, He's not particularly big or particularly strong. Oluwatimi does have that on Sundell, for sure. So while you do lose something when you go to Oluwatimi, and you lose something that is very important to the Kubiak offense, you do gain something. And in that second half, we did reap the benefits of that. Most of Walker's and Charbonnet's production came in that second half after Oluwatimi was in the game. And I think that Anthony Bradford actually looked better getting to play next to Oluwatimi versus how he looks against Sundell. That's part of the reason why Bradford looked as good as he did yesterday. So it is a loss in some ways, but there are other ways in which this may end up being not that big of a deal. I think the biggest loss is continuity. Like we saw right after Oluwatimi went in the game, he and Darnold had a botched snap, and there was a botched snap later in the game with I'm sorry, who's the other guy? Was it Richmond? No, Cable Do. And that's something that happens when the center and the quarterback aren't super familiar with each other. You have little misses like that. And next week, when we play this Rams team, we're not going to be able to afford to have misses like that. So yeah, it is certainly something that affects the team, and continuity is always going to be a valuable thing on your offensive line, but it might improve the run game in some ways. You're not going to have as many TFLs in the backfield. You're not going to have as much backfield contact on inside runs to Charbonnet and Walker, I would guess. But if it doesn't work out, expect Sundell to be back before the end of the season, but don't be surprised if some things get better, even if some other things might get a little bit worse. Now, there were some other injury updates from McDonald. Brady Henderson lists them here, but these are a little bit more vague and not necessarily informative of what we can expect in the near future. Jaron Reed had another surgery this morning on his hand, so they are optimistic that he will be back this season, and he'll miss about a month. So expect him back for like the Atlanta game, maybe, something like that, maybe the Indianapolis game, somewhere around there. So not a season ender, so that's good. And they were also pretty vague on Ernest Jones, Josh Jobe, and Torrey Horton, whether or not they're going to be able to play this Sunday against the Rams. Jobe, you would figure, has a pretty good chance. Usually a player misses one game because of a concussion and then comes back, but there are definitely variables in there. Horton, at this point, I don't know how big of a role Horton will have in the offense, so I don't want to overstate that one, but he is doing good things for this team, and I'd certainly rather have him out there than Ricky White. So we'll see where that goes. Ernest Jones is the big one, though. Ernest Jones is the guy that if we don't have Ernest Jones on Sunday, that hurts. His value in a game like this is pretty immense. What he's going to be able to do against dig routes, what he's going to be able to offer versus our other linebackers in his zone drops. As much as Ernest Jones is not a great cover player, there are things that he does even in there that I don't think Knight and Drake Thomas can offer. Okay, so that's it. Just wanted to go ahead and update there. Normally, again, I don't make videos about Monday injury updates, but I made an exception because we got concrete timeline info on Sundell. He will be out for multiple weeks and may go on injured reserve. We'll see where that leaves us, but it's an opportunity for Oluwatimi. And look, it's not like it's a huge, it's not like there's a super high bar here. Sundell is not that high of a bar to clear in terms of quality of play. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks.